y'all because y'all could have been anywhere else. But the fact that y'all right here, that's love. And y'all just don't know that's what get me through this. Because the times I don't want to see this ugly fight, I wish I could just trade my life back. I wish somebody could actually pinch me and wake me up. But reality is, I can't wake up no matter how much. If I could just sleep, I can't sleep this off. Because this is real. At the end of the day, when I wake up, I have to live through this pain every day. Every day we still searching for answers. Nobody deserves to be brutally murdered. And nobody, family, loved ones, and supporters deserve the kind of treatment we get with no answers. We still just out here. Nobody's talking to us, telling us nothing being transferred or anything. David Lewis in the saddest part, Greg Bernstein let all the killer cops off, along with killer David Lewis. They hit this man. We was wondering why, when the Public Information Act came out, that's when we found out about him 6 months later. They put all the other killer animals, they put their names out there in the Sun paper. But this animal, David Lewis, they hit him 6 months. And I kept wondering, why did they hide him? Why? Because he played a major role. Because before he showed up, my brother was he still had a survival chance. He still was breathing. He still could have been saved. But he made sure my brother was not breathing anymore. He didn't ask any questions. He quickly and viciously attacked one unarmed man. And if anybody could sleep at night, and we got David Lewis, that's why we had David Lewis is a killer cop that went right here at Morgan. And I heard he worked out at the movie theater. Be very careful. And then a woman beat him. And every time we come to these grounds, when it's warm outside, we meet students, we meet victims, that this animal, David Lewis, killer cop, David Lewis, animal, that's all I can say. 903 days of not sleeping, still have to go to work, still have to do everyday daily things, and still gotta fight these killer cops. Look at this face. This is a face of an animal, a face of a killer, David Lewis. And I hope you can hear me, you animal. I want all the students in Morgan to hear my voice clearly. David Lewis, he's a killer cop that's working on campus. He made sure Tyrone West was no longer breathing, screaming for help, or moving.
Diane, Tyrone West, aunt, his mother, and Tawanda. We have been out here fighting for justice for our beloved Tyrone West. One thing we know for sure, and we are certain, you killed the wrong man, but you got the right family. You had no idea the love we had for Tyrone. You had no idea, but you know it now. David Lewis, you thought you could hide. Every time I think about what you did to my child, taking his last breath, you had the nerve to sit on a dying man's back. Animal! Stinking animal! David Lewis, you are a stinking animal, along with Baltimore City police officers. You stinking animals! You think somebody gonna trust this city when you still got stinking animals working in the department? Come on, Kevin Davis, you crazy? How can we ever trust what you say, Kevin Davis? How can we ever, Commissioner? You still paying these murdering cops. You know what they did to Tyrone.
That's right.
You know exactly what happened to Tyrone.
Yes.
But you lied to our family from day one, not you.
Animals.
The mayor, former state's attorney, every single one. City council, all of you lied to my family, but you had no idea that Tyrone West had a fighting family. We'll fight for him until I take my last breath. Tawanda will fight for him until she take her last breath. My whole family. You cannot go around killing our children. You cannot do it. So right there. David Lewis, murder animal. David Lewis, kill a cop. David Lewis, you kill a cop. David Lewis, you murderer. David Lewis, Nicholas David Chapman, and that steroid-eating Ruiz. Let me tell you something. You better clean house with these stinking animals you got, Commissioner. You better clean your house, because that's the only way that you're going to get this city back on track. Now all of a sudden you want to come up with these ideas about how you going to turn police in. You had no idea what you did to this family. You damn near killed Tyrone West's whole family from this pain. This is the pain in our heart that no medication, no counseling, or nothing can ever take away. The only thing, and won't take it away, that we get accountability. We need these officers charged and prosecuted to the full extent of the law, because this was murder. You stand over a man and you beat him to death. This is murder. Unarmed man. Unarmed man was nothing but murder. We made sure the city know they murdered Tyrone West in cold blood.
Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Tawanda, you're still muted.
Thank you everybody for joining in to West Wednesday. Can somebody check to see if it's on my page? I don't know because it was acting crazy.
It is, Tawanda.
Okay, great. All right, cool. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is West Wednesday. We're at 367 weeks, 2,569 days of fighting nonstop for accountability, not just for my big brother Tyrone West, but for all the victims of police brutality and murder. And since we're coming up on the ceasefire weekend, we know here at West Wednesday that police violence, community violence, it goes hand in hand. It's the same dirty system that allows these atrocities to happen over and over again with no accountability, no justice, no peace. So we're here to our two special guests whose daughters basically weren't killed by police officers. The fact that two beautiful young queens were murdered to street violence, it's horrible. So tonight we have a host of guests. But any old way, as you saw that video, that was us doing a West Wednesday at Morgan State University. And as you notice, these names that my auntie called, she said something about, of course, you heard me saying David Lewis, Killer David Lewis, because he played a crucial part in my brother's horrific murder. He actually put his foot and knee in my brother's back until he ended foot in his neck, in his knee in his back, until my brother was dead. My brother had a surviving chance. It was slim, but he still could have survived. But he reassured that death was going to come. But the interesting part about these three maniacs, Ruiz, Chapman, and David Lewis, and I should add Omar on that list. So four repeat violent offenders, y'all, that's still actively working to this day. And like I said, I don't get any thrill of bringing anyone into this family of police brutality or community violence. It's just not right. So at the same time, I'm thrilled to have the wonderful guests I had, but it saddens me because every last one of my guests come with a sad story. So first up, I'm going to call my beautiful warrior queen, and I met her when I was actually protesting about David Lewis. And when I ran to this beautiful queen, she basically gave me some knowledge on him, his repeat history, because he actually attacked this queen. And this queen is beautiful. She wears a lot of hats. She does a lot for our community. And I'm just honored to have my beautiful Queen Sister Shaquaya Mackenzie on here. So no further ado, I'm going to introduce my beautiful warrior queen, Sister Shaquaya. Mic check.
Mic check.
Check.
Mic check.
My check.
Tawanda, thank you so much for having me. I agree with you on the sentiments that I'm not happy to be here, but the work has to be done in a righteous spirit of bringing awareness to what is happening and what has happened. I still can't believe, repression is a way to really try to avoid having to deal with the hardest things that have happened to you in life. And so it's not, I don't feel comfortable saying this in a way where I'm empowered or I hope to empower anybody in the same spirit, but my interaction with David Lewis for me has had to be repressed in order for me to just have a sane mind. When I attended Morgan State University, I was really privileged to be able to experience student leadership at different levels of the university. And one of those positions that I held was Morgan State University Student Government President. It was one of the best experiences in my life, and it really shaped the young woman that I became. But unfortunately, along with that experience is a tagged experience of police brutality at the hands of David Lewis. Before I even get into this story, I want to share with everybody how I met you and how our dots became connected. And it's still so eerie to me, but I know the power of God is real because of how we were connected. We were organizing around the Freddie Gray situation, and I remember we came together through BUCK, Baltimore United for Change, and it's really weird. When I first saw you, I already knew who you was, but I didn't know your name because a few months after I had been brutalized by David Lewis, which again, I'll get back to the story about, I was walking across Cold Spring and Hillen Road, and there was a group of protesters carrying a sign that said Tyrone West and another that said David Lewis. And this was a couple of months after my brutalization, and I couldn't believe, or not a couple of months, but it was a few months. I think it was maybe even a year. I could not believe that his name was associated with another incident beyond the student incidents, including my own, that I tried to bring to the university administration's understanding. And it went outside our community, and your brother was killed. I didn't know who you were at the time, but I remember walking across the street, seeing those signs, and crying as I walked down that street. Because I thought to myself, could your brother's death have been prevented had the university paid attention to the situation that happened with me and with other students at Morgan State University? So when I met you and I found out your name, Tawanda West, and I found out about your brother's name, Tyrone West, I just knew the power of God was real, because there was still some awareness, something that had to be said, even if there yet had been just resolution and determination and or arrest of this man and other police officers who commit brutality. So, David Lewis. When I was Morgan State University, I was responsible for coordinating homecoming activities. It's what most university student government presidents and university student governments are responsible for. That year we had a concert with 3 different artists, and it was the night of the homecoming concert. I was, as student government president, a part of special staff that was allowed in and around this stage area. And we had credentials, around our necks to be identified. But unfortunately, as is the case at any event or in general events, there were some people who were confused that weren't supposed to be behind stage and that were. And so there was about an hour into the event where we were trying to clear the area to make sure our artists could get through smoothly and, just remove anybody that didn't need to be in the area. About 2 hours into the event, while one artist was on stage, I was walking across the area from talking to an administrator over to joining my fellow student government peers, and actually sitting down and watching the concert. Because of course, as president, I'm running around making sure things are going smoothly. And it just came to a point where I was like, you know what, Shaquay, just try to enjoy this, right? Try to enjoy this moment that you're creating. And as I was approaching the stage, I noticed that there were a few Morgan State police officers that were around the perimeter of the stage. So I didn't think anything of it. I knew that we had already been trying to secure or making sure people weren't in areas they weren't supposed to be. So I proceeded to sit in front of the stage. And so I'm just going to try to interpret what that space looked like. So imagine a stage, and right at the left-hand corner of the stage is David Lewis. Now, for anybody who doesn't know the aesthetic makeup of this man, I don't know his exact height, but he's at least 6'10", 6'11".
Yes.
At least 350 pounds. Big guy. Can't miss him, right? Huge. Can't miss him. Seen him on campus several times, always had a scorned look, tough guy, never had any personal interaction with him. Had heard about incidents of him brutalizing students at student campus parties, but it wasn't firsthand. It was just word of mouth. I never could, officiate anything, and therefore had no opinion or prior experience with him. As I was approaching the stage, the front of the stage to sit down, I'm walking, and as I'm walking past him, he immediately pushes me back, like as if I was a threat to him or anybody in the area. Now, mind you, I'm student government president. All the people who are sitting underneath the stage are my peers or serve under me in other positions, right? I have a credential on. I have an outfit where it's evident I'm a part of this event. He pushes me. And so I immediately respond with anger and with confusion as to why he would put his hands on me. And I asked, why'd you push me? And he said, you can't be up here. And I stated to him, I'm student government president. The people that are sitting right in front of you are the people who are in positions underneath me. I coordinated this homecoming concert. What exactly do you mean? And he responded, this area is supposed to be secure. And I said, sir, this area is secure. You're standing here. My peers are there. All I'm doing is going to sit down. So in thinking that he was clearly confused as to who I was or what my position was in the sense that I had a right to be there, I continued to walk. He pushes me again. Let me describe my aesthetic at the point. I had on at least 3-inch platform heels, a mini skirt, and a sheer shirt. I'm a young lady. I'm a young student leader. I coordinated the event. I described who I was and my right to be in the space. And he continued to push me. So then again, I asked again. At this time, my administrators see what's happening. The people who are sitting in the front of the stage see what's happening. And people start to gather towards him. With that recognition and me saying to him, you must be crazy, I'm the one who technically signed off on you to even have hours tonight. For you to even be getting paid tonight, this event happened. I made this event happen. What exactly is your misunderstanding? And apparently, that must have impacted his ego where he became offended, and he picked me up by my shirt and threw me to the ground. My administrator saw it, students saw it, and everybody rushed the area to try to push him back. But he's 6'10" and 350 pounds. And the more attention that was brought to the area, the more empowered and enraged he became to show that he had power. He not only picked me up and threw me to the ground, as I was getting up and my administrators were trying to help me up and push him back and assure him as to who I was, he pushed them out the way. 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman, 2 administrators and 1 peer student leader. With other peers behind him trying to pull him back, he continued to drag me to the back of this venue, which was the Morgan State University Hill Fieldhouse, and threw me on the ground outside the door. At that point, everybody in the area saw what happened, including his Morgan State police peers and the police chief of Morgan State University, and the VP of Student Affairs, who were present. When I came to, just because all of this happened in a rush, I could not even, and still now, cannot articulate the demeaning, obscene, just feeling of confusion that I had surrounding how he was able to brutalize me, and no one, like, immediately, not a police chief, not VP of Student Affairs, immediately remove him from the venue or give him some type of retribution through writing him up or anything. In fact, what happened when I came to, I sat outside and cried in confusion and demanded that he be removed from the concert venue. The police chief came to me, apologized, asked if we could settle it the next day, and reassured me that he needed to stay on site because they were short-staffed and needed the support of police. I asked him, who exactly is more important? The student and students who pay for this university event, including this concert, the students who coordinated this concert, including myself as Morgan State University student government president. He would not have a job had it not, there would be no event if there were not for us. And if my demand is for him to leave because I've been assaulted and for him to be held accountable to that, in return you say to me, can we handle it the next day? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It forever altered my respect for certain administrative figures at Morgan State University, and I still play a role and love my alma mater, but I will never forget or never forsake who they find to be a priority at different times. Giving a long story short, because that night I couldn't even stay at the event. Coordinated the event for 4 or 5 months. I left after that. I could not, because when I walked back in the concert venue, he was back at the same spot on the stage, and when I looked at him, he laughed at me. So I couldn't even gather myself to stay at my own event. I missed my own homecoming concert. And the next day, the first thing I did, as soon as the university opened up, was go to the president's office. I went to President David Wilson. When I spoke to him, I asked him had he been made aware of the incident from the night before. He looked at me with confusion and said, "What incident?" And I said, "The VP of Student Affairs, the police chief, nobody informed you that I was assaulted by a police officer at the homecoming concert last night?" And he was in shock and awe. And he said, "No." And I demanded that there be some causative response to what happened, cameras to be reviewed, because if you don't want to take I didn't even want to give him a chance to think it was my word of mouth. Cameras to be reviewed, witness statements to be taken, and for him to be removed from the university police department, or at least have some serious infraction on his record. To which David Wilson response was that we should coordinate a conversation with the VP of Student Affairs, Assistant VP of Student Affairs, the police chief, and David Lewis, and try to get to the bottom of what happened. And I asked him, do you seriously think that it is appropriate for me to sit and meet with my assaulter in a mediation formation as if this is something to mediate? There's nothing to mediate. Wrong. He assaulted me. I'm a student. I pay for everything and everybody's along with state funds, but as a student government president, I represent the student body, and if you think that I'm going to diminish my integrity to try to fold on this situation, you have the wrong student government president. Asked again, can we have a meeting? I said, sure. just make sure that the student administrators that he also brutalized are there to speak of what happened. And since we don't want to go right into investigation mode, let's talk about it. So we came together in a meeting by which he was present, the police chief, Fletcher, I believe at the time, Wiggins, Adrian Wiggins, I can't recall his current position, but at the time he was also working at a top administrative position in Morgan State University's police department. I don't think Judge Chambers, who's the student judicial court clerk, I don't think he was there, but I know Tanya B. Rush, Kevin Banks, student VP Affairs was there, and President David Wilson, as well at the time my student affairs or Office of Student Activities administrators Toya Corbett and Akeem Croft were present, and my vice president Alvin Hill, all of whom were present that night. I gave my side of the story when the meeting started. They asked me to give my side of the story. They asked him to give his side of the story, and the only thing that he had a different detail on was that he informed me that I couldn't get past because it was a security threat for anybody to go to the front of the stage. To which I blatantly responded, that's a lie. There were 8 people sitting in front of you. How could there have been a security threat? How was I a security threat? And he said that by giving this direction, he gave me a directive to remove myself, and otherwise trying to move past him was a threat to his personal security. And police, verbatim, these are his words, police officers are trained to, what was the word he used? I'm not going to say verbatim, but essentially the idea was that if there's a threat, they have to remove the threat. They have to immediately respond to the threat. So with me walking past him to the front of the stage, I was a threat, and he had to immediately respond. The police chief followed up as to say he didn't see when the incident happened, he saw the ending of it, but given the training and the wording of how they are, or the idea and concept of how they are protecting themselves when there's a security threat, he explained that technically he couldn't write David Lewis up. And I said, well, I will sue you all. You're not giving me an option. And they asked if I would reconsider and make this an opportunity to broaden the conversation with university campus students about relationships between MSU Police Department and students, because there had been other issues of student brutality accusations. And I said, you want me to take my own incident of brutality, publicize it or promote it in a way so that I can bridge students in the police department, the very police department that you're not holding accountable, that brutalized me? you know, I really, like I said, I've had to repress this because I did continue to serve as student government president and in other student leadership positions, and it was only on the basis of my integrity for love of the students and what was happening on that campus. Because this situation alone completely wiped my respect for Morgan State University administration at large away. And subsequent to this meeting, because I did deny that I refused to, and I still explained that I would be suing David Lewis as an individual. They claimed that if I tried to sue Morgan State University, they would have to bring me to student judicial court, and I would be ruled, I may be ruled, essentially they may dismiss me from the university because the police officer upheld his actions as justified. Even with my student administrators witness in their own brutalization, even with other students, I mean, my entire student government e-board asked to protest the university and turn this into a campaign against the university and the police. And I was so hurt, I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even, I muted that. I squashed that. I didn't even want them to do that, because having to really face and accept that the university was enabling this man to brutalize me, I had to then inform me that there had been justified student incidents that I heard about before that had been where students have been intimidated in the same way. I'm the highest service student leader on campus, and they threatened to dismiss me from the university if I sued the university for what was rightly something to be sued. If you all didn't want to take action yourselves, I didn't want to sue my school. I love my school. But if you all can't take anything else seriously, the word of a student, even when I asked for cameras, oh, the cameras don't work. You know, it was a lot. And I did go on to sue David Lewis. He was never found to be served. Right now, if you even look it up in the judicial court system, it's still an active case, but he's never been served. Ironically, to the point though, that was in 2012. They dismissed him from the university, I believe in 2014 or 15. Never knew what happened to him after that. I did see him serving as security guard posts at different nightclubs I might show up to. But the most humiliating, again, and this is humiliating because my integrity was folded in how I felt I should have and could have acted. I could have brought more attention. I could have been protesting like you, Tawanda. And meeting you was a huge inspiration for me to just continue to do the right thing, because out of that confusion and hurt, I muted myself. I repressed it because I just couldn't believe it. But I knew that it wasn't right, and I could never do that again. It's kind of just like, it's like a psychological fight or flight that happened, you know what I mean? And I really wish I could have done more. I wish I should have let my student peers rally around me and create the protest they wanted to at the time, instead of telling them to just chill, you know?
No, but I hate to cut you off, but I just want to say you did everything right. Don't feel bad, you know, because that's just like when we be victimized, we start thinking of ways of blaming ourselves. No one is to blame but Morgan State University, because they would have took action in your case and got rid of this man, he wouldn't have been alive a year later and killed my brother. He wouldn't have been able to come, and they still covered. It was to the point that had we not did all those direct actions, he probably would still be working at Morgan State. Somebody told me that he keeps on, like, he resigned or whatever, but then they said he keeps on going flip-flop. But I know where you can reach him at the serve.
I know where he is. So
as a
teacher, let me tell you, maybe it's 2015, 16, 2016. This is 4 years after the incident with him. I'm a teacher in Baltimore City now. Bring my girls. I taught all girls. Bring a group of students to the legislative assembly at the Capitol. And he's the one doing check-in, right, at the state building. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And still and now, I don't know, you know, besides supporting this cause, which I know is the most just thing to do in a sense of collective power, I don't know what else to do. I done sued the man. I done brought attention to his superiors at the time. But this fight will win.
Oh, yeah, I got you. So don't even worry about it. I'm going to have other actions that I have planned, and I'm definitely going to make you a part of it, so don't even worry about it. And I want you to hold on, because my brother Abdul, I know he's at work and he has to go. Is Abdul still there? Is Abdul still on, or did he have to go?
I don't see him
I don't
now.
see him, Wanda, but there are two people that don't have their images, so I'm not certain.
No, he's not on anymore.
Okay, because I knew that he was hitting me up, but Abdul was at work, and and Abdul was almost killed 17 days prior to my brother getting murdered, and 24 hours before that it was Darrell Harris, and he was almost murdered by Ruiz. And as we know, it's a video out there circulating with Ruiz, even though the video was from 2016, but the fact of how reckless he is, and more so how reckless this city is, how reckless the commissioner is. Each commissioner always does the same thing, from Commissioner Davis to now the new commissioner, set my family face and tell a bunch of lies. So sis, I'm so sorry that happened to you, but you're doing everything right. That should have never happened. This is a man brutalizing a woman. Shame on Morgan State University. It's horrible. And then you have Hopkins wanting to do the same thing, bring in private police for their students to be attacked. And for them to use your education and the ground that you love, and you are the customer. But for them to protect this maniac, shame on them. And every time we go up to Morgan, we meet victims that David Lewis brutalized.
Oh yeah, I'm not the only one. That's a fact. I'm not the only one.
You're not at all. Not at all. So yeah, but I just want you to hold right tight right there. So and also says real quick, is there any ways that we can support you? You got any ways that we can support you? You can let me know now.
Not personally. I'm an advocate for the youth, so in supporting me is supporting the youth in any way. I'm a board on a organization called Young Audiences of Maryland. I also work hand in hand with an organization called Play on Purpose, and a few others, but those are the two right now that I know that are doing just work during this time and this pandemic, bringing services to the youth to really bridge this gap between distance learning and students of Baltimore City. So if people want to donate, and I did encourage all my friends when my birthday was yesterday, don't give me anything, donate $29 in significance of my 29th birthday to Young Audiences of Maryland or Play on Purpose Inc. We have to keep our youth upright to avoid being subject to these type of incidents, and that's what I strongly believe.
All right, well, y'all heard it from the Queen. And then, again, thank you so much, Shaquia. If you want to hold on, that would be great. If you got to go, I definitely respect your time. But again, I thank you for being brave. So I thank you for sharing. I know it's not easy to share when you've been victimized, humiliated, and then by a huge man, not just a man, but a huge animal, a stinking animal. So I mean, it's outrageous. But at the end of the day, I'm never gonna stop until all those killer cops that put their hands on my brother go down. But especially those main three, Louise, Chapman, and David Lewis, they on the top of the list. They definitely did. And when I bring them down, I want you to be right there watching.
I will be right there with you.
Right there. Yes, I got. And then I already told me he was a woman beater, a stinking maniac. So thank you, my queen. So my next guest, so Abdul, y'all said Abdul had left or whatever, he's not still on there. Do y'all know who the other two people are that's in queue?
No, I don't.
I think it might be Nicole. Is that correct?
Oh, okay.
Then Nicole and
Natasha.
Okay.
and we have Ken. We have Ken
And
too.
we have Ken, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, no further ado, I'm going to bring up my sister, Natasha from Chicago. And I met this queen when we both were doing a documentary about losing our loved ones. And something she said that was so profound, it stuck to me to this day. And this queen said, she know why hell is empty, because all the devils are running around here on earth. I couldn't tell nobody. I will never forget what she said. And this beautiful queen unfortunately lost her beautiful daughter. So no further ado. Mic check.
Mike, check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Mic check.
All right. First, I want to thank you for having me and give honor to God. I thank you all. My sincere apologies to the young lady that just spoke about what happened to her. I mean, I have no words for it. I'm a mom here in Chicago, mother of 3 kids. Unfortunately, my one and only, my firstborn, my daughter, Marissa Boyd Stingley, my 19-year-old daughter, was gunned down here in Chicago. I lived on 74th and Eberhard. My daughter got in a car with a young lady that she had recently met in the neighborhood. We didn't mess with people in our neighborhoods or anything. And, my daughter just wanted to, hang out or whatever. But the neighbors have been telling me and warning me about this young lady and saying different things and telling me, just to be leery of people that my daughter was around. So anyway, this particular day, June 25th, 2013, my daughter got in the car, her and a young lady. They were picked up by 3 young men. 2 of the young men my daughter knew. One of the young men I knew. I had met. My daughter had been dating him or whatever. So they got in the car, maybe about 2, but before my daughter got in this car with these young men, before they came, one of the young men that were in the car started yelling. They said he had been yelling out the window, bothering people, messing with people, and just, being irate.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you mute your other device, please? Because we're getting like an echo background sound.
Okay.
Device.
Okay.
I apologize for interrupting. I apologize.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah,
Much better.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's perfect.
cool. So, and before they came to pick her up, like I said, the young man, he was messing with people, yelling out the window and doing things of that nature. So anyway, he bothered this man, and this man had followed them. My daughter, unbeknownst to her, got in a car with these 3 young men, her and a young lady. They didn't say anything, tell them that they had words with this man. This man was following them. 2 blocks, red light on 73rd and King Drive. They were at the light. This man that they had bothered had pulled the wrong side, on the wrong side of the street of the car. He said something else in the car. The same young man that was yelling out the window earlier had said some other stuff to the man. Said, "Do you know somebody in this car? You cross-eyed bitch." And the man in turn said, "Oh yeah, you remember me?" and pulled up a gun and shot the car up. Everyone in the car was shot up. Unfortunately, my daughter was the only one that did not leave that car. That was 7 years ago. Those very same people that was in the car with my daughter that she thought was her friends hasn't said a word, has not, and they looked this man in his face. They all were shot. When I say all were shot up very bad, the driver of the car, he was in a coma for like a month or so, but he was the only one, let me say this, he was the only one that did try to help. But unfortunately, by him getting shot the way he did, and it was very rough on him to try to remember certain things of it. And therefore now, it's just been very hard. I've been fighting. I've been telling my story about my daughter, what happened to her, trying to get people to come forward to tell, what happened. I can say that the police, that the detectives that was working on my daughter's case, they were great. I hear about how the police don't, talk to the people, but they did talk to me. They actually had a suspect. They actually had the person. And unfortunately, they had to let this man go because the people that was in the car that was shot as well would not come and identify him. Only the young man that was shot in the passenger seat, and he wasn't able to identify this man. So fast forward a little bit, some time ago, they kept telling me, we just need one person. We just need one person to come forward. Somebody came forward and identified the very man that they had locked up. And unfortunately, they still has not locked this shooter up due to the fact that they're saying, oh, well, it's been too long. We need one more. One person, and this person is a very good witness. They identified this man, and they still would not lock this man up. This man has spoken to me. This man has told my 6-year-old son at the time, years ago, he tried to speak to my son. He told my son just looked at him. My son didn't know who this man was. And this man told my son, the next time I see you, if you don't speak to me and tell me your name, I'm going to take you to my planet and never bring you back. So I had to deal with this man. I had to move. I had lost my daughter. I had to move out of my house. I had lost everything. And this man, to hear this man say, this very man that they had locked up and let go, to tell my child this. I've been through a lot. I've been out here fighting in Chicago. I've tried to commit suicide. I mean, a lot, but I just praise and thank God that I'm still able to stand. I'm striving to help with preventing gun violence, to help moms and dads that have unfortunately lost their children to gun violence as well. I work with children, mentoring them, trying to get them on the right path, to change their mindset, to let them know that you don't have to pick up guns to solve your problems, that there's a better way. Here in Chicago, there has been children as young as 2 years old, one being killed. They just had a young man, a rapper, in the Gold Coast, which they say is a good area, killed in broad daylight. I mean, there's no structure, no anything about this gun violence, whether it be police, whether it be black on black, whatever it is. Enough is enough. Like I told you, Tawanda, when I met you, hell is empty. You know why? Because all the damn demons are running free on the earth. Nobody seems to know. I mean, we have to change the mindset of these young men that are doing these killings. They're in a dark place, because if you had light and you had the understanding how life is and how valuable life is, and that you only get one chance at this is a one-shot opportunity, and we must get it right. We must serve out our purpose here on earth, and our purpose is to live abundantly and to be peaceful and love one another. And shooting and gun violence and police brutality, that's not life. That's evil. That's wickedness. That's darkness. And I rebuke that. I pray every day for the mindsets of our black men, that they will change, and that God will shine light and change their minds and their hearts, because their hearts are dark. There's no love if you can pick up a gun. If you can take and put your hands on a woman, you are a man, and you put your hands on a woman and hurt her, pick her up and throw her, that's darkness. That's evil. So my thing is that I pray daily now. I've started an organization that's it's starting up. It's my baby. The Pink Project. We had hosted a paint party for moms and families that have lost their children to gun violence. We're gonna, once the coronavirus leaves, we're gonna start up again. We're gonna do things in the community, different communities, for parents, for children, to help them to find ways and solutions to stop the gun violence, to stop it, to prevent it, to eradicate it. I pray, and with God, all things are possible. We can do anything if we put our mindset. It's in 2 Chronicles 7:40. It states, I'm not going to say it verbatimly, forgive me, but it says, if we turn from our wicked ways, pray on one accord, and turn to God, God will hear our cries, and God will heal our land. But we got to turn from the wicked ways. We can't be in the darkness all the time. We got to find some type of way to stop this gun violence and the hatred. I mean, it's sad. And we as parents that have lost our, and I heard the young lady say that she don't know how to, that's trauma to see this man that did this to you. And for me as a mom, constantly seeing babies and our children getting killed, that's trauma. That's constantly being traumatized over and over. Just because it's not my child, just because she's not a part of me, doesn't mean that I don't hurt. Because a man picked her up and threw her. I'm angry as hell. I wish I was there, because I would have helped that sister out. You hear me? It hurts me to see our children being killed like this. I can't properly heal. I'm constantly hurting because our babies are being killed. I can't understand it. And we talk about why the gun violence won't end. Why? It's because it starts with us. Why is there so much crime in the black communities? Let's be honest with it. It's our sons, not my sons, because my son's not out here with no guns. My sons are in college and they're there playing a video game. So it's not my son. I'm just saying they're my sons as well. It's our sons, it's our cousins, it's our uncles that are out here committing these crimes. It's the black people. We can't constantly keep saying, oh, the white man doing this, or the white people are doing it. No. It's us. It's black people that are killing each other. And once we first admit that it's black on black, it's us that are killing us, we have to structuralize that. We have to understand that. And we get that figured out, and we can sit down at the table as one. We have to show love amongst each other and be able to sit down and communicate and figure out our problems on a different platform, not by picking up guns. Not by picking up guns. I mean, if it gets to the case where you need to just really somebody putting their hands on you or something, I mean, you can fight. That's why God gave you 2 hands and 2 feet or whatever. I mean, I'm not a violent person, but I'm just saying, why would you have to pick up a gun? Why? You know? So, like I said, I just been fighting, and I won't stop until I get justice for my daughter, until he's locked away, until they put him away for what he did to everybody that was in that car. I don't even care. People say, well, why do you pray for those other kids? Why do you advocate for them as well? Because they are people. They know not what they have done. They know not what they have done. They don't know what type of young lady that my daughter was. My daughter was a loving, kind person. She cared about everybody. And the fact that I can't be mean to them because I know my daughter be mom. You don't be mean to them. They know not what they do. So I constantly pray for them when I have visuals, when I have anything. I pray for them in the morning time when I get up, and I pray for them. Unfortunately, the very young man, I found out the very young man that was in the back seat that was yelling, he started rapping in the rap game or whatever, and he was killed. He was killed. I just found that out at the beginning of this year because I did a news piece here in Chicago about the gun violence, and the detectives had told me it was like he was recently killed in Miami. He had started becoming a rapper, had started dating Black China, and he was killed. See, you don't have to do anything to a person. Karma comes back on you. You opened your mouth and you said bad things about my daughter. This young man didn't even know my daughter. Didn't even know nothing about her. And because my daughter had, I guess, when the shooting occurred, she actually died on his lap. He in turn put that on Facebook and said, I didn't even know that bitch. And she died on my lap and messed up my clothes.
Oh my God.
So then, you know, the police kept telling me, don't talk to that young man. Day one, that's the only thing they kept telling me to do. Do not approach him. Do not talk to him. Don't say nothing to this man. And I never seen all the other victims in the car. They would talk to me until, you know, but him, no, I never seen him. Just on pictures or whatever. Never seen him. Never said nothing to him. I promised the detectives because every time they would talk to him, they would tell me that he was very nasty. That the day that the shooting happened, he even cussed his mother out and told her, why the F did you come to this police, this hospital? So, you know, you have to be very careful, and I'm going to end this here. You have to be very careful with who you be around, who you call your friends, the people, the music you listen to, the things we do. We have to train our children, teach our children, and especially our young men, how to deal with their differences, their problems, how to do it a different way. We have to start instilling love and peace into our children. We have to learn how to love them. We have to learn how to tell them we love them, give them hugs. We have to fight this on a different platform because we're not just in a battle with guns and this. We're in a spiritual warfare. We are in a spiritual warfare. These are demons that's taking over our children and their minds to have them to do these things. So we have to constantly pray for our children as well. We have to constantly instill great things in them and speak great things in their life. And that's what I want to do now as being a nurturing woman, as being a mom, and speak life into our children, speak life into our communities, into people. And I pray that God will shift the mindsets of our people, and not just our people, all over the world, everywhere, that the violence will end, police brutality will end. I pray these things, and I thank you all for having me on your show. show. I pray that everybody here that has lost a loved one, that has endured gun violence, police brutality, I pray that justice is served. I pray that you get everything that you deserve, that the person that did whatever they did to you that wasn't right, I pray that whatever God has for them, that they get it swiftly. I pray that all the moms and dads that have lost their children to gun violence, I pray that you find peace and comfort. I pray that they find the killers that have done these tremendous cowardly acts. I pray these things and I thank you in Jesus' name. I pray these things and I thank you for having me on your show. God bless you all.
Look, people bringing church on this platform on a Wednesday. There y'all go. Y'all got church for free tonight. Church for free. My queen, how can we support you?
Can I ask you what do you mean by support? Like maybe
like you
share
got a petition that you need us to like circulate, like whatever way we can do to help you. Like if you know, just any which way.
Unfortunately, I don't have a petition. Only thing I haven't done in a while was like pass out the flyers. I have a $15,000 reward flyer. I have a $15 reward, and that's about it. Like when I do the when Corona ends, I can speak with you. Maybe when after the COVID and everything clears, I'll start back up like doing different activities in different communities, and then I can reach out to you to Wanda then, and then I need like art supplies. I need like things like that for the kids, activities and things I will buy for the kids, like buying hot dogs and helping with like, finding spaces for me to do these different activities because I don't have a space that I do it. I was fortunate enough to be donated a space when I did that first paint party, and it was wonderful. I had over 100 moms and dads to come out, and it was all free. They had the paint, the canvas, they had food, chocolate covered strawberries, Pink Project wine, they had everything, and it was all free, and they enjoyed themselves, and I really want to do that for the kids in the community, because that helps. It really does help. So, I have an email. I can give you my email address, my cell phone if you would like to donate me.
Say email address now, please.
Okay, my email address is Nortasha Stingley. That's all lowercase letters. NortashaStingley @yahoo.com. That's Nortasha Stingley @yahoo.com. And my cell phone number you can reach me at is 312-414-5017. That's 312-414-5017. And once again, thank you all so much and God bless you all.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And if you want to leave, you can. But if you want to, hold tight because my next guest is Nicole, and she lost her daughter that was 16 years old as well at the time. And just imagine you're fighting police brutality about your father-in-law. Her father-in-law was Anthony Anderson. He was killed by the same unit that killed my brother a year later. But she's fighting for Anthony Anderson, trying to lift his name up. And 2 weeks later, her baby girl.
My God.
So she got a story to share quickly, and she got a voice for it fast. This sister can sing. She sang the song that basically really take us to church. So no further ado, my sister Nicole. Mic check. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nicole Pettiford, for the ones who don't know me. And I am honored, although it's a sad occasion to be here, I'm honored to be here with my warrior sister, Tawanda, and all my other warrior brothers and sisters on here as well. Tawanda basically gave you an insight on my life. This is my daughter, Ajay Harad. Well, what happened with Ajay was Anthony Anderson is my father-in-law. I am the wife of Marcus Pettiford and the mother, of course, of Ajay Harad. My daughter wasn't directly killed by the police, but she was involved in a situation where they thought that she had seen some activity that went on with someone else that had been murdered, and they took my daughter to the police station without an adult being present with her and without an attorney, and they questioned my daughter and they let her go. And someone thought that she was snitching and that she knew about the incident that had happened, and she didn't, and they took my daughter away from here. Now, with that being said, I still believe that the police themselves were directly the reason why my daughter was killed, because you had no right to question my 16-year-old daughter without her having an attorney or her parents there with her at the time when you questioned her. And the one thing that I've known from being in this world just and watching television is that when you kill someone, 9 times out of 10 they send somebody back to the scene to make sure that person is dead, if not coming back themselves. And when they see my daughter get in the police car, the first thing that they probably thought is, oh, she knew something. We have to get rid of her, because it's leave no witnesses behind. And it's sad that my baby had to suffer through that. And I'm not saying she was an angel or anything like that, because children lose their way, just like adults lose their way. And what makes it so sad is that a week before my daughter was murdered, me and her got into a horrible fight. I mean, whereas though we put our hands on each other. It was that bad. And she kept calling me, and I kept telling her I didn't want to speak to her because I was so angry. And then she got her girlfriend to call me that Friday, because when she called me, I used to call my daughter Smiley because she had a beautiful smile. And she had her girlfriend to call me that Friday, and she said, Miss Nicole, Smiley don't have nowhere to go. She doesn't have a coat or anything. So because of the anger that I had for her, my heart was so hardened. And I said, okay, so what do you want me to do about it? So she snatched the phone from my girlfriend and she says, Mommy, I love you. I'm sorry. I said, Smiley, what do you want? She said, Mommy, I want you to help me get my Maryland State ID because I want to go back to school. And my heart started to melt some. So I said, Smiley, I'm going to help you this time. But if you ever disrespect me like that again, I'm going to cut you off and I'm not going to deal with you no more. She said, okay, Mommy, I love you. I said, I love you too. I said, I want you to come past the house Monday and we can see what we can do about getting your ID. They killed my daughter that Sunday. And the thing about it is, God works in mysterious ways, because the anger that I had for my daughter at that moment, if I would have kept that hardened heart, then I would not have been able to tell my daughter for the last time that I loved her, and for her to tell me that she loved me, and for us to basically forgive each other before she left this world. Now, Tawanda told you that I love to sing or whatever, but I can't hold a candle towards my daughter. You know, she went to the School of the Arts, I did too, and she always wanted to be a world-renowned singer. I had kind of gave it up a little bit, but I kind of got back into it, and if you don't have a problem with it, I came up with another little song, and if I can, I want to sing a little bit of it for you so you can see what it sounds like, if that's no problem for anyone.
Not at all.
It's called He Blessed Me,
Go
and it
ahead.
goes like this. He blessed me through all the pain, and He blessed me through all the rain. When Jesus heard my story, He blessed me. I knew that He would. He blessed me. He understood. He blessed me. I knew that He would. So I'm asking, please hold my hand and bless me and every man. Take my hand and walk me through, 'cause I need you. I'm feeling so blue. But he blessed me with all things good. He blessed me. He understood. So Jesus, please help me now. 'Cause Jesus, I don't know how, but he bless me, so shine me high. 'Cause he bless me, and I don't know why. Thank y'all.
Oh, that's nice. That's praise. A beautiful voice. You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Yes. We done had church. We done have some praise. You gotta give God the glory. I know that's right. Thank you, Queen.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. This is a healing space. That's why I love doing this. It's a healing space for everybody. And that song just really blessed me because I was really feeling real down and sad when I heard Shaquia talk about David Lewis. It just opened up a wound that never healed, because he's thinking that if they would have took actions, when he brutalized a beautiful queen, that my brother could have been saved. And then even with Louise and Chapman, repeat violent offenders, nobody does nothing to save us. It's sad that we have to save ourselves, but that song was so beautiful, it just saved me, and we're going to keep moving this train right on, and I hope you queens stay in queue, but I want to bring up what you say?
I had went and got my daughter's flyer. I wanted to make sure you guys got a picture of that, if that's okay. Can you guys see it? Want me to come closer?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
I'll put it up on your page, Tawanda.
Please, yeah.
Also this. I'll put it up on Tawanda's page. This is the description of the vehicle, as well as the man, the description of him. So I'll put these two flyers up with his description, if you guys can, grab it off her page. Yeah. And I want to tell you guys, thank you so much. I actually have another meeting I gotta get on. And I appreciate you guys so much. I love you all. God bless you all. And you, Queen,
love you too. Don't forget to share those pictures, my queen. Thank you.
Thank you. You keep that beautiful voice going. God bless you all.
Thank you. God bless you too.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that was beautiful. So, no further ado, I'm gonna bring my brother Ken up. He's the uncle of Jarrell Gray, and he was on last week and the week before, because we're going to definitely keep Jarrell's name alive, and more so, he is a poet, and he blessed our life with that strong poem that he did, so he's going to bless our life again. So no further ado, we need to give a special mic check for our brother Ken coming up. Mr. Analysis, let's bring him on up. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check, Ken.
Mic check, everyone. Thank you so much, Tawanda. Thank you so much, everyone. I go by the name Analysis, which is my writing and performing name. And it is an honor and a blessing to be back again this week on West Wednesdays. As I always say, Tawanda, I am amazed and have a whole lot of respect for you and your family and your team for persevering and doing what you do. And, I mentioned last week that it's time for me and many of us to get even more active in this matter. Even many of us who are parts of families who have been directly affected by police killing and police violence. And it's been so difficult for many to sustain themselves, to sustain ourselves in the movement, but you and the team are an inspiration for that. And I hear that theme coming through again this week in terms of what people are saying, how you have been a magnet of power and inspiration. And so bless you and the team for that. Bless all of those who have spoken. I have been shaking my head all night at the ridiculousness and the pain of what we've heard. But I'm so glad that we are telling it, and that hopefully more and more people are listening, and more people of this are acting on what they hear. So glad my sister came with that song just now, because as a fellow person of the arts, I realize how important the arts are in these types of movements. And I'm about to do a poem in a second that deals with the criminal justice system generally. And I want to lead into that by just saying that I was listening to Democracy Now! Yesterday, my particular favorite news source. And among other stories, they were talking about the fact that there was a raid in Arizona on No More Deaths. Many of you may be familiar with the strong organization on the Arizona border that is helping migrants with water, with trying to make it through the desert safely. Doing great work, and therefore, as you might guess, they are constantly under attack by federal authorities for doing this work. And apparently just this past week, yet again, Border Patrol agents raided the offices of No More Deaths, imprisoned 30 or so immigrants, and they have taken them away. I'm not even sure if they know where they are being held right now. And it just made me think once again how integrally related all of these manifestations of police brutality and policing in America are connected and are interwoven. Whether you talk about the Border Patrol, whether you talk about the various forms of federal police, such as those in Portland snatching people off the street and throwing them into vans, not unlike how they snatched Tyrone, so forth and so on. So whether it be federal, state, or local, whether it be on the border or deep in the city or out in the country, in the rural areas, policing in America is all integrated. This next piece is something that I wrote for a conference a few years ago, an annual conference called Ecumenical Advocacy Days. And this particular year, the legislative lobbying and acts that we were working on were focusing on not only policing and the criminal justice system and sentencing and things like that, but also on the situation of immigrants being arrested and coming into this country. So this poem pops off of a piece of Lamentations, since we have church up in here. This poem actually comes from a passage in Lamentations and also a passage in Acts. You all may recognize it and pick it up, but this piece is called The Selling of Souls, and that's selling spelled with a C, the selling of souls. You know, the old folk used to say Paul and Silas, bound in jail, sing God's praise both night and day, and I hope that truck might blow me home to the New Jerusalem. I hope it does blow them home. All those seized in the marketplace of human capital. But right now, all I hear are blustering boasts about being tough on crime and misleading media made to maintain some manufactured war on drugs that keeps its officials chasing the scream of those in need while ignoring their cries for help. Thus, sales swell, more dwelling them here in the land of liberty than anywhere else. Even the smallest or most repentant form of offenses could get you caught up in a maze of mandatory minimums. This mandates the story, and minimum of telling the truth, because this situation might have you doing time, and time keeps on slipping into the future. We want to fly like an eagle, but all we see is the new Jim Crow in a societal cage with human rights perverted in the presence of the Most High, human nights deserted, people missing, broken